So do you just believe that black people are more lazy or aren't as good at applications? Why do you think that data is the way it is?
I think the data is that way it is because our educational system has dramatically failed the black community.
This started out as a white privilege question. Then it turned into one of the ugliest questions in hearing history.
You know, we've heard a lot today about y'all's views on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. You know, my take is these are about leveling out a playing field that has historically not been level, where there are folks in this country who are all running the same race, but for some people, their lane has obstacles in it. It has hurdles, it has water pits, and that is because of discrimination that was pushed, instituted, and facilitated by government at every single level. So I want to start with you, Dr. Shires. You've written much about how DEI programs fuel racial stereotypes. You talked here a little bit today about your opposition to these programs, and I think that's consistent with what we've heard from our Republican colleagues, as well as Vice President Vance, who I believe called them a deliberate program of discrimination against white men. So let me ask you this. Take a random white person in America today and a random black person.
Okay.
When they go apply for jobs, when they apply for a home loan, when they're getting their home appraised, when they're seeking higher wages, would you say that those two people are more likely than not to be on the same playing field?
Legally, yes.
I have no clue what that means. In practice, are they likely to be on the same playing field?
I guess what I'm trying to understand is what playing field are you comparing them on? I mean, in your metaphor, you talk about how some lanes on the track have obstacles and others don't. The solution to that is to remove the obstacles. It's not to change the finish line. And DEI changes the finish line, whereas the federal laws against the discrimination are there to remove the obstacles. So if you're asking, if the question is, how do I get to the situation where both of them have the same access? The answer is removing the obstacles and enforcing the law. It's not changing the finish line.
Well, there are also DEI programs that remove the obstacles that the president has removed from the federal government. But my question to you is, if a random white person in this country and a random black person in this country go to get their home appraised, right?
Okay.
Why is it that the black person is much more likely to get a lower value on their home appraisal?
Because they live in a different neighborhood?
Okay, great. We'll get to that in a second because that's wrong.
Oh, guys, this is super hard, and it's not even that tricky. You were to come to me and say, hey, listen, I need a loan here, right? And I'm the bank, and I'm like, listen, bro, I'm going to want to know a couple of things, and it's really incredibly important here, right? Give me your credit score. And so while we were entering into the video here, I had to pull up something really quickly here. As I heard kind of the direction he was going into, I wanted to see something here. So the average median credit score for a white American in America is 734. Asian American sits at around 745, Hispanic American 667 to 701, and then Black Americans on average sit at near prime 627. Understand what's the requirement to actually be able to purchase a house, meaning the requirement to basically pass the underwriter's check to basically give you the loan for said house here. All right, if you are basing this off of anything more than personal responsibility, then I'm absolutely confused here. I'm not going to dig too deeply into like the personal aspect of this here, but if I was to go to the bank as a Black American with my credit score, I would have no problem. I would probably get better rates than the average in all of the. Based on one specific thing here, my household taught the importance of building credit young and getting to the point where you can kind of reach 800 and above, right? I mean, that's how I was raised specifically. That was my household, all right? And I'm Black in America. But the point that he's trying to make here is by saying the average and versus the average dictates that there's a difference of over 100 points on a credit score between specifically Black Americans and white Americans on average. So you want the bank to give bad loans? Do you want 2008 again, my guy? This is weird.
Okay, great. We'll get to that in a second because that's wrong. Black people in this country were enslaved for at least 240 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and after slavery ended, you had about 100 more years at least of Jim Crow and legal segregation, where government at the federal, state, and local level blocked Black people from owning land, from getting bank loans, from living in certain neighborhoods, from attending certain schools. All of that happened too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my question to you is simple. Name the year that the playing field became completely even. I want you to give me a date.
Again, it depends on what playing field you're talking about. I mean, if you're looking at
For
average,
home loans, you brought, I think we talked about home loans and appraisals. For home loans, what year did it become equal?
well, according to the DEI movement in 1991, when they imposed disparate impact.
So you're telling me today that if a black person goes and applies for a home loan, they have the same likelihood of getting accepted
Guys,
for that
credit
loan
score.
as a white person does?
I'm saying under the DEI rules, yes, that would be the case. We know in practicality that people have different income profiles and experiences. If you're asking me a person that lives next door to another person, if one is white and one is black and they go both apply for a loan, do I expect different outcomes? No. And if there are, then it should be enforced under discrimination laws.
So you're talking about rules, I'm talking about outcomes. So let's play a game of true and false, and let's start with wealth disparities. The median net worth of a white household in this country is $285,000. The median net worth of a black household is about $45,000. True or false?
I don't know.
Okay, you came here as an expert today in a DEI hearing, and you don't know that? Basic facts about wealth accumulation in this country? All right, let's go to the next one. For every $100 in wealth held by white families, black families hold about $15. True or false?
Again, I don't know
I've
those
never heard
specific
these numbers.
Okay, well, I have data here. It's true. So we know that the answer here isn't just that black people believe in saving less than white people do, right?
Okay.
It's that government in this country has put one set of folks in a better position to succeed than other people. And it was the law for a very, very long time. And it became ingrained in our institutions. Government was part of the problem. And so it has to now be part of the solution. So let's do this
Got
true or
it.
false game again for employment and wages. Black workers are far more likely to be unemployed as white workers at almost every education level. True or false?
That is true.
So do you just believe that black people are more lazy or aren't as good at applications? Why do you think that data is the way it is?
I think the data is that way it is because our educational system has dramatically failed the black community. And instead of solving it, we just let them into college where they then have a higher rate of failure because they...
I wasn't aware that there's a black
Hold on.
education system and a white education system. In my
said
district, we
our
have schools that are represented, all races in there, and the same outcomes. The same school has different outcomes for black kids and white kids. My time is up, but in short, if the government was part of the problem, the government now has to be part of the solution.
Guys, this actually was a different one than you guys normally send me here. Whoa. All right, so let's have a conversation about this. So obviously, all I can speak on for the most part in the context of this here is basically anecdotal evidence, and my anecdotal evidence pretty much based off of my super small sample size, let's say, of the Black American men specifically that I'm around or that I encounter on a semi-regular basis. Let's just say this here, they're all doing very well. And I mean like disgustingly well, generally. I know that's not the entirety of Black Americans, sure, but it's also not the entirety of white Americans that are clearing $285 a year household income. So it's just like, what exactly are you saying? Guys, it's the same argument that like the modern Democrat, like feminist wing of things basically are saying, that it's not that we want equality, we want to control the outcome of all of the scenarios and put specifically this group in charge of everything while disparaging and disregarding, for the most part, anything else because ew nasty, if that makes any sense here. Like it's the same exact thing. And then when I listen to like modern Democrats speak, it's all rooted in that same illogical, empathy first over logic type of conversation. It's always the same coven, instinct, sisterhood type of energy whenever I hear people like this speak, right? There's nothing in it, bro. All right. Like I'm looking deeply in the words that are being used here, but it just seems like you want equality of outcome. Like you don't want to have a conversation about all of the impoverished, white Americans in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, in the swamps, or West Virginia. You don't want to. We're not talking about them. You're specifically only talking about like the top 10% of 10%. Those are the ones you're talking about. Not all of the other normal white Americans you see on a daily basis, because you're more likely to see the ones who are similar in economic status as you complaining, right? Than the people, I don't know, in the yacht clubs or on the golf courses, if that makes any sense here. You're more likely to see those people. And so how do those people hear what you're saying? Because those are the actual majority of America. You're saying household income of 285, but that does not make much sense here. All right. Hold on. As a matter of fact, guys, hold the phone here, buddy. Average household income by race here. Notice how this man just said $285,000 is like what? what white Americans have, and then 44 is what black Americans have. Okay, first of all, the number is 56,000 what black Americans have on average, and then versus white Americans, 92,000. So what exactly, like, you understand the game that's being played, like the semantics that are being played whenever people start speaking. So just like how the Democrat Feminist Party basically talks, okay? Like if you listen to them speak for 10 minutes, you'll start to realize that whenever they say there's no niche subgroup in this specific thing here, they're not talking about, I don't know, cesspool cleaners. All right. They're talking about CEO, CFO of some major Fortune 500 company. Bro, they want to skip all of the steps that it took for someone to basically go through these things and just completely, I don't know, one shot all of these positions of power and say, yeah, I belong here because my ancestors went through something 300 years ago. Like, how would you even feel being just given the position because of how you were born? Guys, I've never understood this. I'm telling you. Like, I definitely grew up in a very interesting household, right? With a lot of this type of stuff here, bro. Like, my parents never taught me ever to be like, listen, because of your skin color, you're going to be blah, 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 blah. No, I was taught how to understand finance, build credit, what to do if everything fails and you have X amount of dollars left, and how to get back to where you need to be, right? I was taught business credit, business lines of credit, right? S Corp, C Corp, multi-managed LLCs, right? Irrevocable trusts, right? I was non-grantor irrevocable. That was my household. I understand what he's saying and why he's saying it, et cetera, because that's basically how his party speaks. They all speak empathy first, logic last. Guys, I'm gonna end it like this here. The idea of equality of outcome is absolutely terrible. And if you are someone who is interested in that, that's also, I would say, indicative of the personality to begin with here. I'm not trying to be super disrespectful, but it's like, so you just want to be given a position of power. You don't want to earn it. You just want to be gifted it, right? That's it. How does that make us better? It doesn't, guys. It makes us weaker. Like, all the strength that we once used to basically exude on the world stage here is being eroded by other countries that are just basically watching this toxic ideology basically flourish coming from our West Coast and our Northeast Coast. Listen, guys, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, guys, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.